What's up everyone? In this video I wanted to look at Cleanspark. We're going to look at their ESG and corporate responsibility report, and then we're also going to go over the chart and I'll check out Bitcoin as well, see how things are going. We're definitely looking at a red day. Lately every Friday has been a red day, so it's not all that surprising. We're due for a little pullback, we're due for a little consolidation at the least. But let's get into this. First off, we're going to look at this report. If you don't mind hitting the like, subscribe, ring the notification bell, definitely helps me out a lot. And let's look at this. And they just released this report. This is going over the 2022 fiscal year, or the period from October 1 of 2021 to September 30 of 2022. Now, Cleanspark Energy accounts for more than 90% of its energy mix, making it a sustainability leader among public Bitcoin mining companies in America, while the use of large-scale immersion cooling has allowed it to reduce e-waste and increase the efficiency of its mining machines by up to 85%. And Zach Bradford, the CEO, says, "Our commitments to people and the environment have been part of Cleanspark's foundation from day one, and they continue to evolve. We have employed the best practices used by many industries to produce a comprehensive report for the public and our stakeholders, and for us to better understand our progress and the areas that we need more of our focus." Now let's look at some highlights of this report. The company's Bitcoin mining efforts are focused on procuring low carbon grid connected power that minimizes the impact on the planet. Clean energy accounts for over 90% of the energy mix, according to data from power providers. And mining campuses provide spinning reserves that facilitate utility companies' ability to work with the fluctuating supplies that come from renewables while improving the performance of baseline power production facilities such as nuclear plants. And efforts to reduce e-waste have increased the amount of time Cleanspark's operation run at or near 100%, while dramatically reducing shipping and packing emissions and related waste that comes with sending mining machines to outside repair houses, and we'll touch on that in a second here. Large-scale immersion cooling at Cleanspark's data center in Norcross, Georgia further helped reduce e-waste and increase energy efficiency of mining machines while increasing output of some machine models by up to 85%. Now there's definitely a lot more to this report. We'll look over a couple more things and then we'll check out the chart. But all employees are provided equipment, training, and certifications according to job duties, an accident reporting and prevention system, and a workers' compensation program further create an environment of psychological safety for employees. And as for wages, competitive wages begin at or above market rates for similar entry-level jobs. Starting salaries for all existing entry-level positions were increased to $21 per hour after a probationary period, making pay more than that of similar positions in the biggest e-commerce or cloud computing companies in the US. And we have employee benefits, including paid time off, health insurance, and a 401k. Now there's definitely more to this report, and I will leave it down below for you, but I did want to look at a couple more things in some more detail. Now you saw the highlights mention the e-waste and how there's less shipping because they repair things in-house. Well, let's expand on that. We have implemented different processes and technologies, both operationally and infrastructurally, to reduce e-waste. From an operations perspective, we train employees in-house for a full suite of minor repair skills that extend down to the chip level. This approach allows us to increase the amount of time our operations run at or near 100%, while dramatically reducing shipping and packing emissions and related waste that comes with sending miners to outside repair vendors. So they do their repairs in-house, which creates less waste and creates more efficiency. And also here they go over immersion cooling. We have also implemented immersion cooling, for which our Norcross facility in Atlanta, Georgia metro area is particularly well known. Immersion cooling, as described later in this report, allows the miners to produce more hash rate, thereby reducing the number of miners we need to run. Furthermore, it allows the machines to operate for a longer life cycle. These efforts reduce e-waste by as much as 80% according to internal estimates, because it allows us to extend the life of the machines and reuse the removed fans as replacement parts at their air-cooled sites, so in their other facilities where they do not have immersion cooling. And this goes a little more into immersion cooling. 85%. With immersion cooling, you can increase the machine's output by upwards of 85% when overclocking the machines with specialized firmware. We can increase the machine's output because of the liquid's cooling nature. It pulls heat out faster than air does. 125 degrees is the average temperature of the liquid. The oil enters the tank at or below 104 degrees, passes through the machines, and exits around 125. Chip temperatures settle in the high 160s to low 170s, even with this increased output. And as for preparation, these air cooling fans and power supplies are removed from the mining machines before being immersed to allow unimpeded airflow through the machine. Doing so decreases possible hardware failure points and increases the miner's reliability. Immersion in the fluid protects and insulates the miner from environmental factors such as airborne particulates and ambient temperature fluctuations, while actually also eliminating the miner's operating noise. Because these are under liquid, these are definitely creating less noise, which is a positive thing as well. But there's definitely a lot more to this report. I just thought I'd cover what I see as the main points. Now, next up, let's look at the chart for Cleanspark, then we'll look at Bitcoin. Now, Cleanspark is experiencing a bit of a red day today, down right around 3-4%. No big deal. And you know, if you just go back a couple days, this stock was only $2. It's almost gained 50% of its value, so it's definitely due to cool down a bit. Of course, Bitcoin's pulling back as well, and the general market's pulling back. One thing you'll notice is the MAs are about to curl back upwards, and we haven't seen a curl upwards on the MAs in quite a long time. And this is the closest we've seen the moving averages since right around April of 2022. And what I'm watching for with these is a golden cross. But first off, what we need is Cleanspark to break above the 200 MA. And we have not seen that since the end of the bull run in November of 2021. But I do personally think a break above the 200 MA will bring more bullish momentum, and we will inevitably see that golden cross. And things definitely seem to be turning around. You know, Bitcoin is nearly $30,000. It could of course pull back, test 25, maybe test lower levels. But as we get closer to the halving, these lower levels become less and less likely. Now, I did want to say from an earnings standpoint, Cleanspark is starting to see that turnaround in earnings. And this quarter that they're going to be reporting in May, going over January, February, and March, they are expecting right around 43 million in revenue, which brings them back to their peak in revenue, back during the bullish cycle of Bitcoin, back when Bitcoin was in the 60s, in the 40s, 50s. You know, they are back to that type of revenue. So just imagine where they'll be when Bitcoin eventually gets back to its previous high, potentially in 2024, maybe by the end of 2023. So I think it's a very exciting time for Cleanspark, and there are going to be a lot of changes over the next couple of months. And realizing that their earnings report is quite a ways away, we do have a glimpse into it once we get our March mining update. We saw January and February, and all they need is to come right in line in between those 2 months. They did sell more Bitcoin than they mined in February, and they held more Bitcoin than they sold in January. But all they need is right around 14 million in revenue, which is kind of in between those 2 months. And one thing that immediately comes to mind is March had a really good month for Bitcoin. Bitcoin was anywhere from $20,000 to nearly $30,000. And you know, throughout January and February, Bitcoin was struggling in the 19s to around 24s or so. So I do expect that March we're going to see a really nice update, and that is going to set us up for a good earnings, for a record-breaking quarter in revenue and a tightening up of their losses per quarter. Now, I did want to show you Bitcoin. It is consolidating. I wouldn't be surprised at this point to see a little bit of a pullback, a break of this general trend, maybe a pullback and a test of this previous trend that did break, but we may retest it. And this would be right around 26,700 or so. But you know, things are looking very bullish for Bitcoin in my eyes. Although short term we may be due to test some lower levels, things have been looking great, and these bank failures, these bank scares, have been contributing to Bitcoin's run up. But this could also be some anticipation into the next halving. As we do get a year away from the halving, we start seeing Bitcoin run up in anticipation, and this could be partly that. But I do think it's also contributed to the bank failures, so any more big news on bank failures, any banks failing is going to bring potentially more momentum into Bitcoin. As this new trend has kind of started, you know, when we see any bad news for these banks, we start seeing a run on Bitcoin, and people will likely play that trend moving forwards. But regardless of that, as we approach halving, Bitcoin is going to continue upwards, and Cleanspark is going to get to those profitable quarters by year end, in my opinion. But we'll see how this ages. But thanks for watching, guys. How are you feeling lately about Bitcoin? How are you feeling lately about Cleanspark? I've been noticing in message boards and things like that there's definitely been a lot more optimism on Cleanspark. And that's just the nature of the stock market. When things go up, people get all happy and euphoric, and when things go down, people feel down and out. But sometimes being a long-term investor, you like seeing that pain because it gives you the feeling of, okay, this is the fear cycle. This is where the fear is. This is what I buy. I buy the fear and I sell the greed. But let me know your thoughts down below, guys. Thanks as always for watching, and have a good weekend.